Hello everyone, this is Daniel and welcome to part 14 of this character modeling tutorial series. So, there is some bad news. Unfortunately, I've lost the entire audio recording of this video. So, I'm now looking at this video just the way you are, months after the recording itself. So, I think the only thing I can really do at this point is to talk you through and try to sort of explain what I'm doing in the video. So there will be a lot of places where I'm probably, where I'll miss a few things, but you know, I'll do my best. So it seems that in this video we'll be working on the ring that's around the neck. I'm setting the origin to geometry here. That was something that you can select from the menu at the top, the object menu. Then you can change the origin point and just resetting it to the center, since it wasn't entirely in the middle there. So in this way we could probably fix the rotation that will be necessary when we kind of twist the ring a little bit to give it some symmetry. So I'm adding here a cylinder with a vertex count of 16. Let's see, what are we doing next? So I'm copying the same rotation now over. You see that in this side menu you can open this up with N. On the right side you can see the transform coordinates, and so I just copied the rotation values over so that it's perfectly lined up. And yeah, if the translation is off, I would also suggest that you use those values there to copy them to the same location. You can see that I think what I'm trying to do here is, if you remember the design, there's a little bit of a cutout in one section. I'm creating a cylinder that I move to the front, which will be subtracted from the original mesh that we have here. You can do that with a Boolean modifier, which I'm pretty sure we'll be adding very soon here. So I'm setting the origin of the transformation to the 3D cursor now. This allows me to sort of rotate this cylinder around the origin of a different object. We did cover this already several times in previous videos, so I hope you can figure this out. But basically on the top of the screen there is this menu where you can choose the pivot point settings for the transform. So now that you have these two objects set up, you select the ring, add a Boolean modifier, and you pick the other cylinder object in the settings. And just like that, once you hide the cylinder from the outliner up there, you can basically see the result. I mean, otherwise the cylinder would be in the way. So I'm just going to adjust the cylinder here a little bit so that it fits the size a little bit better than I'm looking for, and hiding it with H, you see the result once again. So I think at this point I'm happy with the result. I'm going to apply the modifier and to delete the cylinder that we created. Now Boolean is very convenient and nice, but unfortunately it does not always work very cleanly. You end up with n-gons and things like that. So we'll probably have to do a little bit of cleanup here and fix the topology. So yeah, for some reason I didn't cut out enough, it seems. I should have just gone back a few steps and moved the cylinder a bit more to the back, then I wouldn't have to deal with that. But anyway, so what are we doing next? I have no idea, but I'll see. Alright, we're going to add a subdivision surface modifier now, which is of course a good idea because we do want to work with subdivision surface here, and it just shows us right away what the result will be. I'm using Control B here to bevel certain edges. This gives them, you know, a bit more of a harder edge. You could also crease the edges, but beveling them adds some additional geometry in the region, so it's not always a bad idea. It's a good idea to do that sometimes. And I'm also adding a little bit more thickness to that inner part of the ring as well. Yeah, and here we just have to do some cleanup. You can see that there is some faces with 5 points connected to it. So I'm always selecting pairs of two vertices and merge them with the M key. And it's incredibly hard to talk you through this video after recording it. Well, for those of you who skipped the intro, I'm sure there are some of you we lost the audio recording of this video by accident, so I'm talking through this video right now. Yeah, in editing. Anyway, let's not miss anything here. So I think we fixed now a bunch of places in the topology, and I'm just going ahead and beveling the last edge that we still haven't beveled. You might see some artifacts, but that's just because of the bad topology. You can see that the face below is actually one large face that goes around, the one that I'm hopefully selecting here in a second, the one that I'm trying to select here. There we go. And this one causes the trouble, so I'm deleting it, and we'll likely be adding here some more loop cuts in a second. There we go. After that, well, all we need to do is really fill in the remaining faces with F. Just select the edge there and fill it in. Apparently I'm just going very rough at the moment. I'm leaving a triangle in the end. But if you just smooth this, it actually doesn't look too bad. So what happens next? Apparently there's a few more things we can improve. We could, for example, bevel these edges as well, since we do indeed have a hard edge there, but to fix the topology we just have to make sure that we merge these 2 points in the end. Just select the two as a pair and merge to last, and make sure you select the outer one at last, of course. And that did really improve the corner there quite a bit. So, next I'm doing next we will add a cylinder. I think this is going to be now the handle that's attached to the right side of this ring. I'm starting with a cylinder once again. I will move it in object mode first, and of course we have to set the pivot point back to median point from the menu up there, and then for the editing part itself, once I have done my transformation in object mode, I'll go to edit mode, I'll select the vertices on the very end and position my 3D cursor above it with a little bit of a distance. You can snap the cursor to the grid, and also make sure that your vertices are aligned to that grid in the same spot. And then there's this rotate spin feature on the side. You can select the axis on the top in the toolbar, and then with this handle and by holding Control to snap to increments and changing the step settings down there in the bottom left, we can pretty quickly get a nice spin in there, and that's going to be sort of like a pipe. We don't need the left side, we just add a mirror modifier that will take care of that. And here you can see finally what we're actually trying to make. So select the upper, the end here that we haven't worked out yet. I'll set my pivot point to the 3D cursor again, which is in the correct spot, and just make a copy of this corner and bring it up. Now we can select these two edges and delete the faces, because there was still one face on one end. We'll delete the face here as well. And then with these two edges selected, search for the bridge edge, bridge, I don't know, the bridge feature. It's probably in the menu with Control E. And then we finally just connect the upper part with some extrusion. Yeah, I'm really working fast. I hardly can keep up with the explanations there. So I'm just adding some loop cuts with Control R and scaling them down with S. And these additional loop cuts here are just because with subdivision surface we'll get a little bit of a curvature around the straight, but to prevent that I can add some loops there. And once you add the subdivision surface modifier, set the shading to smooth in object mode with right click, and from the context menu set smooth, we have now a finished handle. I'm going to align this now to the pivot point, and then in object mode again, make sure to place it in object mode. Actually, that's quite important, because then you can always reset the rotation, and the mirroring will also work this way. in object mode, I'm just going to use S for scale, R for rotate, G for grab to position it in the right spot. And now I think the thickness wasn't quite enough, so I'm just selecting it all. I hit Alt S as usual, and I inflate it a little bit. That is always a very good technique to make things a little bit smoother. It gives the curves a bit of more of a dynamic. And now we just attach the model here. The alignment is a bit difficult again, since we don't have anything to line it up with. You just have to look around and find a good angle for that. And I just checked on how long this video continues, and it seems like we're not even halfway through yet. So actually I have no clue what we're going to work on next, but we'll figure out in a second. I have a feeling it's going to be the hair, but we'll see in a second, of course. So here we are now, and I'm selecting the ears, which might be what we work on next. There's a little bit of a point in the front, which I'm just going to delete. I don't know where exactly it came from, but it should have been there. We can add subdivision surface right in the beginning, and then go in and I'll just extrude the inner part a little bit more to make sure there is no curvature that we don't want. Then I'll select these inner 6 faces and inset them like so. Then I just extrude them inwards one more time, and I'll keep the ears pretty simple, just like that. We can always go to the loop tools and relax these edges a little bit, just to make it a bit softer. But pretty much that is going to conclude the ears. Especially with our stylized shading, this won't be too big of an issue. And they will render just nicely. I'm just giving them a little bit of a better balance. You know, that's really the only thing I'm thinking about. Just make sure the shape and sort of the proportions are correct. Then should look good. Yeah, and you can add a little bit of detail like so, which I'm doing here. This actually won't show up at all, a lot at all, but maybe in the shadows you could have some indications of that, so it's not a bad idea. So this mesh wasn't mirrored, so I'm selecting the left side and adding a mirror modifier, as we did several times already, and that will easily mirror the ears. And we can now also scale them up a little bit, and I'll inflate them, which I very often do with Alt S. And with proportion editing, just hit the O key to activate it. We can sort of adjust the overall shape, which, as I said, is the most important thing to sort of consider when working on the ears. I mean, basically on any part, really. The overall shape and the silhouettes, those kind of things are what you want to think about the most. So, yeah, I'm just pushing out some points still, a little bit of detail that we can add. But I think that this is going to be it for the ears now. And now we'll move on to the hair. And me being from the future and knowing what's going to happen, I know that this hair part is not going to be the strongest throughout this tutorial series. It's going to end up a bit rougher than I would have liked it to be, but we're still going to try here a couple of things, I think, which I'm not sure if they are going to succeed all that well, but anyways, look at that. So I'm adding a subdivision surface modifier first here, and I think I'm going to delete all these upper faces that we have here. So I'm selecting all around these loops, delete with X, and then hit faces. Since, you know, these are inside of the helmet and you will never really see them. And well, I'm undoing it now. So instead of delete them now, I think we deleted them, but we still creased the edges as well. So with Shift E, I creased the edges. And I kind of want to give each hair strand a little bit of a profile. So I'm using the loop cut with Ctrl R to add a cut along each strand, which I undid again. Well, I'm setting it to smooth now, the shading. Well, of course, there was not enough volume as usual, so I use my inflate trick as usual. Also, one more thing I'm doing here is to just quickly pull down these upper vertices so that we have a bit of a better tip. And we probably have to do that all around. So here are 3 more points over there. Then we have a few more points over here. And many more points all around. So you can slide the points, by the way, by pressing G twice. Pressing G twice will give you the slide mode, which will be very useful in a situation like this. And once we have that, I'm just comparing now quickly to the original, and you see that the pointy tips lose quite a lot of definition because of the smoothing. But I think I wasn't too sure what to do with it at the moment. But yeah, just to fill some of the gaps that I found here, I'm going to use proportional editing and make sure that the hair sticks a little bit better to the head, like around the ears and such. Since smoothing always sort of takes away a little bit of volume, it's always a good idea to confirm this. I mean, this was really more of a oversight on my behalf when making this mesh in the beginning. But yeah, that's something you might want to think about, especially when you have a low resolution mesh. A low poly mesh, then the smoothing is going to take away quite a lot of volume and change the silhouette quite a bit. Now I'm playing around here with some creasing settings. Of course, it would be nice to have pointy hair tips, and there's actually some very interesting news. This is from actually the next Blender version, the next Blender release. In Blender 3.1, you will be able to crease individual vertices. So that's going to be a huge game changer for hair. And there are many things that I wasn't able to do actually here in this video because I didn't have that feature. So you can see I'm trying to select all these little edges on the tip to crease them, because you can't, in this older version of Blender, you can't crease just the tip. You need something connected to it. So this is kind of my workaround here, but so Control Shift E, I believe, yeah, to crease these a little bit. But that's really not so ideal. There's many issues with this method. So in the future, we'll be able to do this a lot better. Just thought I would share the news since I've already heard about that. But with that, it seems like we're leaving the hair now. We'll definitely, well, I mean, it's going to look a little bit better in the end. But to tell the truth, it's not going to change so much. But the result still looks good, so I hope you can understand. So I'm going now back to the body. I feel like it is a bit too thin as a whole, so we're just brushing up some of the parts that we worked on before. I'm going to the options and select auto masking topology. This makes it so that when I move with the body with a large brush and adjust it, that the arms don't sort of move with it. This topology check mark that's checked on the right side is the one that you want to look at. So we quickly fixed the body a little bit, and next, I think at this point it's a good idea to start to have a better understanding of what the character will look like with color. So I'm going here to the material settings, add a new material, and in the viewport display section, you can change the color, and that color will actually show up in this default viewport. So I'm just selecting here some, placeholder colors for the body and all the parts. Just add a new material for each and select the color. Here we obviously have darker blue, almost gray color. And to reuse them, just click on this icon there and select the previous material. Unfortunately, you can't see the color in the little preview that you have from the drop-down, but if you were to select the base color in the top of the material settings, then it would show up in the render and in the preview as well. Right now, we're actually not changing the color of the material itself. We're really just changing what the color the mesh shows in this solid view mode. Yeah, just keep that in mind. Finally, I think we have the hair and the metal parts. So 2 more colors to add. And it's a very nice feeling, in my opinion, to finally see color on your character. It starts to really come together. Finally here we do the metal parts. So I'm just going to select the same material on all of these, assign the same one, and then you could set the color. Here we go. Yeah, so with that, your character now has color and probably will look a lot better than before. So yeah, I really hope that me talking over this video helped. I'm very sorry that I messed up with the audio and I lost it. I mean, I don't know why exactly, but my recording tools or my microphone probably messed up somehow, and we didn't end up recording anything with it a few months ago. Anyway, I'm apparently adding a little bit of a cape as well here, just to you know, see what it would look like. I think that I thought that there was not enough color variation in it with just these 2-3 colors. I wanted a little bit of red in it, and that's also what an important part of the design. So here I'm just adding some very rough points. It's just a plane in the back with some loop cuts, and yeah, the very, very basic modeling, and put a red color on top of it, and you can add a little bit of a curvature. Then you have a little bit of an idea of what the character would look like if you gave him a cape. And for the smooth, the shading, you get some shading artifacts. You can always add some loop cuts around the edges, and that will help. You can also add a subdivision surface modifier, and the result should be very smooth. And as usual, I'm going to inflate it a little bit with Alt S. And do some final adjustments on that corner, it seems. But here we are. Our character has now color. We have added already a lot of detail to various parts. Now we just have a little bit left to go. Since I have the opportunity, I mean, I think all of you who are now listening to this video are already in my Discord server, but in the description of this video there's a link to this place that you can join. Lots of people share their progress there. I'm very I appreciate all of you there, by the way, who posted their progress already. It's a lot of fun for me to look at what you guys come up with all the time, and I hope to answer all your questions that you have there. So yeah, in regard to this part in particular, if there was something you didn't catch or you couldn't figure out, just send me a question there and I'll see if I can help you out with that. I just changed the matte cap settings here a little bit. That's something you can play around with as well. That will help you make your character look a little bit better for a screenshot. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. I hope you enjoyed as always, and I'll see you in the next one.